So this is us now at our Force control room, our contact centre, where so much of our interaction with the public takes place. And indeed, this is the one area of two that we've had real challenges around in the last couple of years in Staffordshire in terms of how you respond to the public in an effective way. So we'll come in, we'll meet some of the staff, because for me, leadership has been really fundamental to the improvements that we've made, and we'll get a quick sense about what is going on. So I'll hand over to our Chief Inspector, who's sort of double-hatting a little bit today, but he can give a quick sort of 30-second layout of the room as a starter for Tim.
Hi, good morning. Pip Ferns, the Force Incident Manager today. So welcome to the control room. We're here, this area of the control room is where most of our dispatch functions take place, supported by our command hub here. We've got control room managers in position. Most of our operators are busy dispatching incidents throughout Staffordshire. Lots of, as you can imagine, lots of incidents being dispatched today from the weekend, a busy weekend. The rest of the room involves call taking through our more traditional methods of phone and telephony through to our digital channels. So yeah, everything is coming through today through the one control room through Staffordshire, and they're working hard to dispatch those incidents.
So, as we know, we've been on a really significant journey recently in terms of how we respond to the public, and at the centre of that, as it is with every police service, the Force Contact Centre is absolutely key, because the vast majority of people contact us by phone, as well as some of the digital channels that we've opened as well. And in terms of the improvements, at the core, even though technology has proven massively important and the performance regime has been pretty fundamental to it, for me, the X factor is always around leadership, really engaged leadership who know their staff, who've got credibility, who walk the floor, who understand what it's like to be on the receiving end of some pretty traumatic phone calls and incidents every single day. So in the room with me, we've got Matt and Steve. You know, clearly having senior police staff, senior police officers working together, I think sends a message in itself actually around how we need to do this and the breadth of experience and background. So I'll let the guys speak to themselves a little bit, I suppose, about, you know, their own reflections on being able to deal with that accelerated cause of concern that was really quite personal to your area, but also briefly, and without giving too many state secrets away, what our plans are to keep going forwards, because once you stop trying to improve, especially in force contact, you go back at speed. So little reflections on, I suppose, the improvements we've made, and then a bit of a sense about plans for the future, guys.
Do you want to touch on the journey up till now, and I'll talk about some of the future planning ahead?
Certainly, yes. So the journey so far has been a considerable. It was a considerable amount of upheaval when we realised that we were going to those accelerated cause of concern. Staff never come to work to do a bad job. Everybody puts a massive effort in every day, and then to learn that what you're doing isn't quite good enough is quite a shock to people. Managing that out of those difficulties is really difficult to overcome. So, for example, we started with the threat, harm and risk. We started that piece around, are we getting threat, harm and risk right? Are we managing to put the right job on for the right response? Are we managing to classify it correctly? And we went real back to basics around that piece of work about what do we need to do? Follow the national codes and make sure that staff understand that work. So a great deal of input went to staff, lots of workshops, lots of one-to-ones, lots of time spent with training, lots of additional QA pieces done with staff, and we got to a position where we started to see those shoots of improvement, where we started to see people getting that job right, and people understanding what that meant based on the HMIC measurements. Beyond that was that response to the public, and how quickly and how quickly we respond and improve our 9 service, how quickly we improve our 101 service. Again, that took a lot of refocusing with people, refocusing our management, our first line management, our control room managers around the importance of that service delivery, and then being able to provide the extra people for that service delivery, changing some of the narrative around our priority states, our technology, to a point where we saw those shoots coming of improvement. That continued, and that journey still continues today around, we now, our QAs have been measured as outstanding. We're doing really well with the quality of jobs we put on. We are responding to our nines in a considerably better way, a faster way than we ever were before. The journey continues now with how we can continue to improve upon that, how we can continue to look at partnership working, technology, things that can support us to improve on that journey even further as we carry on.
Yeah, so hopefully you probably picked up in the emotion within Steve's voice of the journey that we've been on. You know, so the ladies and gents that are sitting outside here are really committed, really passionate about the work they're doing. So they really care about our communities and their own staff. And I think you see that on a day-to-day basis. So there's a lot of stuff that we've got to do because, you know, it's a really complex world, I think, force contact. We can't stand still, absolutely not. So we've got to continue to look at what improvements we can do to enhance that service so that we become that outstanding force. So certainly part of that is looking at, you know, implementing IT cloud-based solutions that kind of deal with things in a more efficient and more effective way. So there's things I can focus upon is our quality of call taking, you know, and we do that through our quality assurance, we do that through our leadership, we do it really, really well, relentlessly and robustly on a day-to-day basis. The beast that I need to focus on is what I call failed demand. So you have failed demand and valued demand. So at the moment, there are a lot of calls that come into the call centre that our staff simply can't deal with because they don't have the answers to it. That could be stuff like, you know, by example, asking for the return of a mobile phone or changing an appointment or chasing up an update. There is a much more efficient and effective way of doing that our staff can't necessarily do. And that equates to quite a number of thousands of calls every year. So we want to tackle that. So because that impacts upon our capacity to deal with the value demand. So where, you know, a member of the public is calling into the call centre, where we actually require or necessitate a response from policing. So that's very much a focus for us, as is recruitment and retention, making sure that we've reviewed our whole way in which we bring in the very best of people and that we retain those very best of people and we give them the best training and requisite skills to perform what is a really challenging job every day of the week and twice on Sundays. So that's a very important section of what we're focusing on at the moment. So I think it's a combination of a number of different things, whether that be in our IT space, whether it be our recruitment, whether it be around our retention, but also around our leadership as well. I think I'm really passionate around kind of procedural and organisational justice, understanding actually and giving a voice to some of our colleagues that sit outside on the floor within Force Contact Centre. So we've launched a people development board. Part of that is an element that we can listen to our staff on a regular basis to understand, you know, what are some really good ideas, because they're the practitioners, they're doing the doing every day of the week, and they have some really good ideas as to how we might be able to improve. Some of that's looking externally at other forces, other organisations outside of policing, within a contact call centre type environment, but much of it is just listening to your own staff and then taking some of those ideas and being able to make process changes which improve ultimately our performance overall. So that's what we're doing at the moment. We will continue to do that. Change is a good thing, so it's in the right direction, and I think our staff are very much, you know, it's a mixed economy team of police officers and police staff. They work incredibly hard and against a really challenging environment. They're doing a fantastic job, and, you know, onwards and upwards, and we will continue to deliver some fantastic service for the communities of Staffordshire. That's the plan. Hi. So we spoke briefly about a number of different things in terms of the improvements we have planned within the Force Control Room, or Force Control Centre, I should say. It's quite multifaceted, and whilst to the public much of this may not make a huge amount of sense, I would encourage any of my internal policing colleagues to if they wish to have any further detail around it, then we can talk about rapid video response. We can talk about the introduction of phase 2 of our CRM, which is a product which helps us from an IT perspective. We can talk about our victims journey and citizens portal, around how our triage answer 97% of our calls and deal with over 60% of those at the very first point of contact. We can talk about our business continuity models and our plans should there ever be any issues, to give some confidence that actually if our HQ site isn't operable, that we do have, you know, emergency plans to move elsewhere. We can talk further in terms of what our IT strategic roadmap looks like in terms of how we want to move things forward and look at investments from across the country and across all 43 forces in terms of how we might be able to improve some of our business. At the moment, we're utilising Vodafone's deflection services, we have rapid SOS, a whole host of different things that we brought in to the Force Control Centre over just the last 6 months. And the purpose very much of this is the so what, I suppose, is to improve service delivery, because ultimately we want to improve trust and confidence within our communities, and we can only do that by being as efficient and as effective as possible. We still have a way to go, there's still improvements that we can make, but we're absolutely making those strides to do so.
I think it's fair to say this is the plan too. We haven't rested on our laurels to simply say we've improved and we've got to where we've got. What this represents is a future-looking plan towards our continuous improvement and towards the things that we know that we can develop around our people, our technologies and our services to continue that journey to improve the service to the public. It just shows that we haven't just stopped, and I think we are continuing to look at that as a future project.
100%.
So we've just stepped out of the main Force Control room into what appears to be a bit of a random room, but actually for me at the core of the improvement journey and contact has been actually senior leaders showing staff that we care about them. And one of the key asks they have was give us a breakout room, which is just over to my right, and then also canteen facilities as well, because this is a 24/7 operation. People are busy, and a quick breakout to get some, a brew and some food is pretty critical. So in terms of the improvement journey, leadership that's really engaged has been key. A really clear grip on performance around speed and quality, and then thirdly, caring for your staff, because they're the people who care for victims, and this is a really tangible example of where you can do the basics and do them well and just give a little bit back to staff. So obviously you've had an opportunity to see the Force Contact Centre in terms of the improvements we've made, chat to some of the staff there about the plans for the future. I think for me it's probably a bit of a microcosm around the improvement approach that we tried to adopt in Staffordshire. I think the first element of that for me is about listen to your staff, because the people who know what's working and what isn't working on the front line are the people who do the job every single day. My job as a chief really is no longer to deliver a service to the public, because I'm pretty far removed from that. It's about making sure the staff who do the job, I give them the tools, the opportunity, the space, the time, the training to do that as well as they can. So that for me I think has been fundamental. Listen to staff, involve them in the improvements we're going to make. I think the second one is linked to that. A really clear leadership approach in Staffordshire. I don't want presidential leaders. I want staff who can do the detail, who have a presence amongst their staff, who are seen regularly, who've got a credibility, who lift stones and look underneath them, who don't always accept what they're told, but do it in a way that isn't around micromanagement. So that style of leadership, where you can strike the right balance of caring for your staff but also challenging them and holding them to account in a really mature way, has been key whenever I've been building my senior team, and also appointing all senior ranks coming through policing and all senior grades coming through policing as well. So that's been key to the improvement journey. And then I think as well, just a real sense of humility. Go looking for good practice elsewhere. Policing isn't as well networked as it could be. So whenever we were looking around improvements in investigation, we really struggled at the start to identify forces that were doing this well. And through HMI, through the College of Policing in particular, through peer forces, we were able to, get those nuggets, get those ways of working, learn vicariously from other forces and make those improvements. And that is going to be a way of working that we're going to continue to do. So really good work, really hard work by a lot of staff, but there's an ambition in Staffordshire, which is what attracted to me in the first place, about getting back to being an outstanding local police service again. And that's something I think that staff buy into and want for themselves and for the service we deliver to their friends, family and communities as well.